Hello and welcome back to Live Now with Veenu and Chuck on Spanglish World and her network on Zingo TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores and iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire Sticks, Roku Sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. I am so excited to be talking about our subject today, Chuck. Woo!
I'm amped. This is an important one. This
Yes.
is and there's some huge distinctions in this one too, Veenu. So why don't you let the listeners in on what the topic is for today?
Yes. So, Chuck and I were talking, as we always do, about what can we bring to our listeners that's going to bring absolute value. And I happened to have the stage with Les Brown and Joseph McClendon III a couple weekends ago in Vegas, and the theme was vision. And so when I was talking to Chuck about it, and I was telling him all the greatness that came from that, and he's like, I think it's so important that we start teaching people the difference between a vision and a dream.
Mm.
And because a lot of people, we grow up, it's like, what do you dream of? What do you dream of having? Who do you want to be when you grow up? It's constantly, dreaming about this and dreaming about that. And the truth is, a vision is a dream with massive and consistent action. That's really what a vision is. And so when we consider, oh, I have this goal, I have this dream, and we're not doing anything with it, it's literally just a dream. You might as well just be closing your eyes, taking a snooze, and keep thinking about it, because I remember when The Secret came out, Chuck, and everybody's like, okay, I'm going to lay here. I want $1 million. I want $1 million. I'm just going to lay on the couch and say, I want $1 million every day. And I'm going to feel what it feels like to have $1 million, but I'm just going to lay on the couch and keep eating bonbons and watching General Hospital every day. But I'm going to get $1 million because I'm going to manifest it, because I'm going to feel it in my body.
And hopium is in full effect. It's like, talk about addiction to sugar. Hopium is probably right up there with it. And, I love what you just said, Veenu, and it's so powerful and it's so true. We're taught when we're little, it's like dream big. In fact, they even have a term for it. It's called a beehead, a big, hairy, audacious dream. And you're like going, okay, why? Because a little dream is like inconsequential. Why dream small? But then there's this ideology, and it's like, are you taking action on your dreams?
Mm-hmm.
Because what turns dreams into reality, what turns it into a vision, and that's really what we're talking about, is having clarity and being able to develop capacity and consciousness around it as well.
Yes.
Some people fall into it and they go, oh, they have all the luck. And I go, what if their manifestation is that they're a lucky person and great things happen to them? Because that's their focus. Their focus is looking for opportunity. Their focus is that when they're in it to win it. Yes. And we know people like this. Sometimes it's you and I looking at each other and in the mirror as well. It's like going, because what takes it from just being vaporware to reality is faith. And this is a big part of a vision, is that knowing that there's more on the other side of this thing than just like unicorn snot and pixie dust. Like it's, glitter everywhere. Sorry, technical terms. And so I know we got to have some fun with this too. Two daughters. Their goal in life.
I was with you with the unicorns and snot and pixie dust. I mean, my daughter's always about that too. So I get it.
And how much of it can they get on daddy's black suit before he leaves to go visit people? So to your point, and this is huge, y'all, massive action. That's what differentiates people who are living their dreams out. So in other words, their dreams have converted into a vision. And they're clear about it. They have a vision board. It's no longer a wish list. It's no longer hopium of being addicted to, I hope this is going to happen for me. How many people have you heard, they go, I hope I win the lotto? Great. Did you buy a ticket? Nope. I hope someone's going to give me one of those too. It's like going, if you're not an active participant in your own salvation, you're addicted to hopium. Just FYI. Just sharing that with you. Not judging, just saying.
Well, I think it also comes down to this, is that, even with the vision board, it's taking out that first of all, it's taking out the no. And I've just had this conversation with one of my clients today, and she goes, "You know what? I never even thought about that." When you have doubt,
Mhm.
there's a unconditioned, like a unconscious, I know. I know that it's not gonna happen to me. I know that, like, it th like playing the slot machines, right? Like, that's a great metaphor I used.
Yep.
So, when I like to play the slot machines when I get a chance, it's fun for me, and always look at this thing, I'm like, "Okay, that last reel," I'm like, "Hit, hit," and then in my mind, I'm like, "Okay, I know it can hit, I could be lucky." But there's something in my voice that says, "But it's not gonna happen to you. Come on. It's 1% chance. It's not gonna happen to you. You just keep feeding this machine money. Like, it's not gonna give you anything back." And that thought goes. Well, the other day, I'm here in California with my best friend. We went to the local casino over here, and I put the money in, and I was down to my last $50, swear to God. It was my true story. And I was, like, seeing these wheels spin, and I started to lock the thing, and I was like, and I didn't know what the machine did. It's a different machine, and I was like, "Huh, I wonder what would happen if that last one looked like all of these." And it happened. And I hit, like, almost a $700 jackpot. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I said, "What's the distinction?" Because I did not know, I did not have doubt that it couldn't happen to me.
Yep. Yep.
I I lived in that world of innocence, just like we are as a kid, the wonder of, like, I wonder what it would look like if that happened. And it happened. And people, it's not luck. Here's where we sabotage our dreams, our visions, all of it. It's that doubt that comes into our mind that it can't happen to me. I'm not lucky enough. I don't have enough money. I don't know the right people. I don't have enough time.
Right.
And it's that little doubt that talks in the back of our head. And yet, because we have been trained to say, no, 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 I do know, I do want it, our words don't match our actions. Our words don't match our energy. And you've talked about this before a lot of times. It's like, what happens when we're at a low energy? We attract low energy things. When we're at a high energy, we attract high energy things. Like, all of a sudden, our friends are calling us. We're invited to do things. Job opportunities come. Things
Yep.
start to
Yep.
land in your lap. And you're like, well, did what just happen? My energy changed. I got rid of the doubt. And you and I talked about this 3 weeks ago, like, what chatter are we listening to? And you even said, you're like, and the worst one's our own chatter, right? And so it's saying no more doubt, no more I can't get it, no more I'm not lucky enough, no more I don't have enough money, and realizing that you are capable just like everyone else. Tony Robbins didn't just fall into who he is today. That man worked for it. That man said, I've had enough of this and I want some of that. So what do I need to do? I need to change my patterns. I need to take action
Yes.
get what I want. He didn't just sit there, like his story says, in his lonely old apartment that he's getting evicted of and say, "Oh, I just hope I make $1 million one day." He's like, "No, no, no, no. I'm going to change it." Every one of us that has had success in our lives, you, me, are even great stories to talk about, right? We've been there. We have literally been at the low of our lows and say, "Okay, do I want to sit here or do I want something different?" And we realized sitting there wasn't getting us anything different. We had to take that action.
Comfort is a slow death. It just is. And many people are seeking to just go to that next level of comfort. They're looking to get out of pain, so they go back to a comfort level. And here's what's interesting too, Vino, and you brought this up, and thank you for this tidbit, this morsel. When we start to understand that, like, playing the slot machine is a game of chance,
Yep.
well, here's the deal. You have a chance to win. You have a chance. There's an opportunity. And people who are manifesting prosperity in their lives. So, again, at our core, we're three: happy, sad, or okay. The person who's okay is okay with just getting by, they're
Right.
okay with just survival. There's no aspiration. They go, okay, how about the person who is sad? And I said, well, they get to a point where being sad is no longer okay.
Mm.
I'd rather be sad than okay, because now there's triggers, there's drives, there's motivation. and that hunger inside of you. Sometimes you need to be a little sad or experience some challenge in order to be able to rise and you set new standards. But knowing that there's an opportunity, that chance that you may win, I go, ooh, that's the difference in faith. Because hopium just sucks you the opposite way, which is like, oh, okay, I'm getting mine. And then we start doing this comparing to the Joneses. Well, hey, compared to everybody else, I'm doing okay. And I go, wow, who's your standard?
Right.
You brought up Tony. Let's go there. He even says it from stage. Hey, I created this guy.
Mm-hmm.
The guy before who was 38 pounds overweight and living in Venice Beach, California, getting ready to be evicted, that was a guy that was non-action. And he's like going, hey, I'm running on the beach and, I'm going one way, my stomach's going the other way. But it's amazing what happens when you commit yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you get on the other side of that fear, that other side of self-doubt, that other side of judgment. Because he wasn't feeling his best. Yet he took a chance and said, if I move my body, when I move my body, because I know that motion creates emotion, holy smokes, there's opportunity on the other side of this thing. And it wasn't just one run. You don't just draw 38 pounds after you've run down the beach one time.
I wish.
Yeah, hey, from your lips to God's ears. But I do know some people that do manifest that too. And they go, in all truthfulness, there are people now, there are biohackers. Like we have a member of our community, YBL, and Dave Asprey, and he just wrote a book that's called Smarter, Not Harder.
Mm.
And I'm like, going, ooh, this is really cool. Because
Right.
now he's figured out the ways that the body communicates. So you don't have to lift abhorrently heavy weight in order to get the benefit of the
Right.
exercise. And it's like, okay, this is kind of cool.
But there's still action behind it, though.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Without question.
it's interesting because whenever I come to California, like I have friends that I've known for 44 years and my best friend. And it's so funny because people will say, you know what? I even knew when you were in like grade school, like I always knew you would make it. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by make it? Like you would be somebody. I said, interesting. I said, you know what's funny? I knew that too. But tell me why you saw that in me. They said, because no matter how many times you got knocked down, you stood right back up. Like you were determined. So I said, do you think determination is the secret sauce? They say 100%. Because if there was no determination, you wouldn't have done anything. You would have just sat there and said, poor me. And I had to think about that. And I do believe that I don't think determination alone
Right.
is the only thing, but I think that you need it. I think that that is one of the components that you need to say, I have a dream and what do I want to do with it? Because our brain, for all the listeners out there, our brain does not know if it's really happening to us
Right.
or is it pretending to happen to us. It's just a visualize in our brain. And, Chuck, you and I have done this many, many times where we could say, close your eyes. I want you to see this fresh lemon, like pick it off your tree, go ahead and put it on the counter and take a knife and just chop that. Okay. And then I want you to open your mouth and I want you to cut it into fours. And in one of those fourth pieces, just put it in your mouth right now and suck it up. Right now, when I'm telling you that, my mouth is salivating, right? And I have no lemon. For all the listeners out there, I have no lemon in my hand, and yet my mouth is salivating because my brain does not know whether I really, really have a lemon in my mouth or I'm just imagining it and going through the emotions and feelings of having a lemon in my mouth. But I'm seriously salivating right now. Okay? Not myself. But that is how life is. This is how we take a dream. First of all, you need to make sure it's real. That vision that
Yeah.
you have for yourself is real. And it goes back to what we talked about last week, Chuck. It really goes back to more than just what's my why to fuel my need, the want, everything. But it's the hunger, it's the appetite that's going to get me to keep going and wanting it. And that is where you create your action steps. That is where you take that dream and you get out of, I love your favorite word, Chuck, hopium. We get out of hopium. We get out of, like I have vision boards and a lot of my vision boards have always come true. But I also noticed I didn't just cut something out of a magazine and say I want it. As I'm looking at it, I'm pasting it on my board. I am imagining what it feels like to be in that place or to have that kind of money or to have that kind of job. The emotions in my body does not know I don't already have it right now. Like I've literally imagined having it. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking at what did I do to get here? And all of a sudden, action steps start coming to me of like what I need to do next. It's almost like I open the door for God to say, okay, great, you want that? I'm going to show you how to do it. But you got to put one foot in front of the other to go towards it. You can't just sit down and say you want it and think you're going to paste it on a board and say it's mine. I'm going to actually help you see the next step forward and forward. And that is how I've been able to visualize what I want, not how I want. And that is so important.
Oh,
You cannot go to the how. You got to know what it is first. You got to know your why, and you got to figure out what's going to keep that hunger and that appetite.
having so there's a hierarchy, and there's a couple things in that you unpack like 12 things, which is amazing. One was having a vision, but are you living in the vision? Are
Right.
you actually envisioning it, which is that you're embodying what you believe is the manifestation of what you created? See, people, this is where confusion comes in. They go, oh, well, I read The Secret. If I just manifest it, and they think that it's like, okay, I put it out there to the universe. I sent that like energetic pebble, and now it's resonating, right? And I said, no.
Mm.
What if you actually were in the water and you were active and you're splashing and making waves? I go, whoa, now what kind of ripple effect are you sending?
Right.
A, you know, or are you just splashing around and now your presence, it's like you are expending energy and it amplifies. So it's not
Right.
just a one and done. It's not one curl to build the muscle. It's like, okay, I'm in the gym and I'm doing this consistently. That's manifestation, and it becomes manifested because now there's energy and action behind it. There's a formula for success. And if you have a cake recipe and you only use some of the ingredients and you only follow some of the instructions, then is it really a cake? I go, no, you have mud pie sitting on the counter and no one wants to eat that thing,
Right.
including you. And here's the bigger part, what you're left with is a mess. You're
Yep.
not left with any kind of organization. You're not left with anything that you can go, oh, I can salvage this. It's just like going, oh, wow. And it wasn't just money that was wasted, it was time, a currency that you don't get back.
That's what I tell everybody all the time. It's like, people are so worried about I don't have money.
Yes.
Time is the most precious resource we have because you can go and make another dollar. Like I promise you, go collect cans, turn them in, and you'll make your dollar back.
Yep.
What you can't get back is that time, the time that you've invested in whatever you're doing, and honestly, that was a hard concept for me to learn along the way. And I don't ever say I don't have time anymore. I always have time. It's where do I choose to put my time? Where do I want to invest my time? And I'm here in California visiting my best friend, and I wrote a post today because I was like, I'm getting ready to go home, and I was like, wow, it's coming to an end, and just reflecting on this week, and I was like, I didn't realize how much I needed this, and this was my self care, and I always envisioned being able to go where I want, when I needed.
Yep.
And I never knew that was going to be possible. And I was sitting at a restaurant today with my best friend, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I just got chills. Like, I have what I wanted so many years ago right in this moment.
Yes.
Right in this moment. I have created what I literally wanted in my life to be able to just go where I wanted to go, be where I wanted to be with my bestest friend in the world. And I was like tears came to my eyes. I was like, I envisioned this so many years ago. And I look back, and it just so resonates with what we're talking about because all the steps that I have taken in my life to get to where I am today, without all the handouts,
Yeah.
with surrounding myself with people who were like-minded, who were going to continue to challenge me, lift me up, give me compliments, tell me what I'm doing great, tell me where I could do better.
Yep.
It took all of that these years to really get to where I was today. And I just had that moment, and my best friend looked at me. She goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Just having a moment, girl. Just having a moment." And I was like, wow, like this is what we're talking about tonight. We don't even know when we have this vision and what it has taken to get here. But I have held very tight to how do I know I'm where I want to be? It's because I have chosen to be there.
You have, and it's culminated in experiences.
Yes.
And that is the payoff. You know, your
Mhm.
life, by your very definition of life, it's the culmination of all your experiences along this timeline that we call the span of our life.
Yes.
So, wow, what a great manifestation to go, I'm having the experiences that I
Yes.
dreamed of having as a child and that I envisioned that I would have as an adult. And here's what's remarkable about this too, Vinu, and thank you for sharing that moment because it really it's beautiful and touching. The faith part is a big part that's left out sometimes.
So
And
much.
it is, and it's the belief, you know, believe till you achieve, not fake it till you make it. I've seen so many people who have strived and put on a false identity, and it's because they had a manifestation, and their manifestation was, if I just do what other people have done, then I
Yes.
will have their experience. And I'm like, no,
Nope.
you won't. You may have a similar result, but it may not feel the same way to you because money may not be your driver.
Hmm.
It should be the happiness and the connection and the opportunity. And so, okay, so what if, just what if you gave yourself that space and that grace to say, number one, I'm not broken. Number two, you really understand your why and why it's so important to you to feel the way that you need to feel. And that's uniquely you.
Yes.
Because happiness to you and happiness to me may have very different ways and rules to get there. But the general feeling of happiness, and I go, okay. And if I were to compare, because I know you well, and you know, your amazing husband, your beautiful children, and I go, there's a lot of things that we have crossover in. And then
Right.
there's other stuff that I, you know, you maybe go, not even on my radar, Chuck.
Right.
Like, that's cool. That creates the variety of what you said, like-mindedness. And what I often remind people, and I said, this is probably the most imperative thing that I've taken in my 56 years on this planet. And that is when I find like-hearted people because we share value systems, it removes so much of the judgment because now I never have to question the integrity or even the methodology because I know that this person is being their best and showing up as their best with the resources they have right now, whatever that looks like. And listen, y'all, we're all entitled to having a rough day. Okay.
Yes.
And sometimes there feels like more rough ones than there feel like more graced ones. And I go, the grace is that you had a rough day.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
is grace. That is the lesson and the learning. You know, and we've said this before. I applaud the person that loves to walk because every experience is exactly that. It's a journey in and of itself. And
Mm.
that level of journey is because of the love of the walk. It's for the love of the journey. It wasn't, oh, this destination, I had to get here. It's like, no, I had an experience. And it could have been at the restaurant you were at today. It could have been at 15 other restaurants. It could have been a walk in the park. It could have been just walking on the pier. It could have been having a lot, whatever the case might be. It could have been anything. And it still would have been uniquely your favorite experience at that moment
Yes.
because of the energy and where you were resonating and how you were showing up and how you were feeling and all the nostalgia and everything that comes back to us. It's like, wow, I didn't realize all of this was within me. And it's because it's not just within you, it's in everyone else too. When you're at that frequency, you get to tap into all of it. You're swimming in a freaking sea of energy. And most people feel like they're dying of dehydration for lack of love or value or worth. And it's like going, it's not true. And by my own admission, been there. Don't just have the freaking t-shirt, got the whole freaking wardrobe. So I get it. And there's a lot of ways to get there. And when you understand at the end of the day, all you need is a shirt All you need is a pair of shorts or jeans or whatever you're wearing. It could even be slippers or flip-flops. And I said, and you're set for the day
Yep.
as long as
Yep.
you're in gratitude.
So I wanted to like help our listeners understand also, we talked a little bit about what sabotages our visions and our dreams, and it's that doubt and that. So, I have an amazing mentor. His name's William Whitecloud, and he, understanding his work and his concept, he says that, you got to keep the tension in what you really want. So what do you want?
Mm.
And honestly, as a coach, you and I are both coaches. That's like the first question we ask our clients is like, what do you want? And here's why people don't get what they want. There are obstacles that get in our way. And all of a sudden, the tension becomes so much for us because we think it's bad tension that we let go of what we really want and we like go after the shiny penny and we go after the obstacles and we have to solve this. And this problem happened. And so I use this metaphor of fishing. So if any of you listeners out there have gone fishing, I like to fish. I don't eat fish. I don't touch the fish, but I love to fish. But what happens? So when you bait your rod and you throw it in there and you're waiting for a bite. When a fish bites your line, what do you have to do? You have to tighten the tension in the rod to reel it in.
Right.
If that tension is loose because you're watching the fish swim by or you're watching the sea turtle to the right of you or you're watching the big boat go by, you may just lose that fish.
Yep.
Because you did not keep the tension. In order to get what you want, you have to stay true to what it is you want. Part of keeping the tension to what you want is not letting the doubt, which is an obstacle, creep in your way. It's not allowing you to say, oh, well, you know what? This team, I'm going to hire this team now, and I'm going to put all this money into this team because they're going to get me what I want. Forget what I was doing before. Oh, wait, you told me that I needed to not do this program anymore. I need to go listen to this podcast. Okay, forget what I've invested in this program. Even though it was working for me, I'm going to go listen to this podcast now because you said so. Like we get so distracted. And again, it goes back to our show where we're like, whose chat are you listening to? Those are obstacles
Yep.
that come in our way that loosen the tension in our rod. And that's why our fish get away. So you got to know number one, what is your vision? What is your fish? And I did this on stage. It was an activity I did is like I said, let's go fishing. Like, what is your fish? So the listeners, what is your fish? Is it to write a book? Is it to create a business? Is it to get, more clients? Is it to create a marketing company? Is it to hire a marketing company? Like, what is the vision that you need right now in your life? And where are you going to go get it? Because that's the other thing is like, where are we fishing? If I want to catch, a dolphin fish, I'm not fishing in a pond.
Nope.
Like I'm not going to get it in a pond. I'm going to get a koi fish in a pond. I'm not going to get my dolphin fish. It's that you have to know what body of water, meaning where are your ideal clients, avatar, whatever it is you want to call it, where are they hanging out? Because you got to know where your fish is if you're going to catch them.
Exactly.
If you want to write a book, what do you need to know about writing a book? And then the minute someone says, oh, you know what? Don't write that book. You know what you need to do? You need to do a YouTube channel. You now have a new obstacle that is taking you away from what you really, really want. And then when you come full circle and somebody asks you, so what was it that you want? Well, I want to write my book. Well, what have you done? Well, I started a YouTube channel. Wow. How many subscribers do you have? I have 2. How's that working for you? But what if you had that book that got out? How many books could you have sold or given away or got your message out even more so? And it's like, oh, shoot, I forgot I was going to write a book. And that is literally what happens to our visions.
Absolutely.
We get caught up in the obstacles. We let go of the tension of the rod and the fish gets away.
Veenu, and a lot of people are into a catch and release program. They are. I mean, it's like, so I love your analogy of fishing, and I'm going to take it a step further. Do you need the fish? Or do you want the fish?
That's brother. That is good.
Huge, because if your needs are being met and you go, I have a family to feed, so I need to fish. There is a deep-seated necessity for this because that's nutrition. This is fuel. This is food. And it's not for sport. I'm not running a catch and release program where, I'm taking a selfie and no, this is like, I'm taking the selfie and then I'm eating. And it's like, and so why? When we understand needs versus wants, and this is simple but huge.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people are asking you what you want. Here's what's interesting about this. What you want is a manifestation of your mind. What you need is a manifestation of your body, mind, and spirit.
Mm.
What you need is energetic fuel. What you need is nutrition in your body. What you need is money is capacity. That's what money is. Money is a tool. Because if you're chewing coins and $100 bills, you might have a high fiber diet and you might be getting enough raw minerals and metal in your body, but it's not tasty and you're gonna have a bunch of broken teeth. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it really comes down to what Veenu was saying, and that is knowing your why. And do you need this thing? You know,
Mm.
I had a professor once, and I'll never forget this. And ironically, we were in Huntington Beach, of all places. And
Good place
so,
to be.
oh, it's a beautiful place. And so, what was interesting was, is so I'm having lunch with my former professor, and he was the head of economics at Cal Poly Pomona. And he's like, hey, he goes, this is great that we get to see each other and talk a little shop. And one of his students recognized him, and he was actually down the street and going to go for an interview. And I'm going to make the story very short. The long and the short was, this kid came up and he goes, Professor, what do I got to do, man? He goes, I got this interview. And he goes, okay. He goes, do you have an interview or you already had it? He goes, I just finished the interview and I don't know how it went. And he goes, what could I have done better? And he goes, well, did you need it? And he goes, well, of course I need it. I really wanted the job. He goes, no, 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 no. Did you want the job or did you need the job? And he goes, I don't know the difference. He goes, I'll show you. He goes, you've already had the interview, right? He goes, yep. He goes, great. Take off your jacket, take off your shoes, start walking. He goes, which way? Towards the ocean. I'll tell you when to stop. And the kid's in the water. I'm no joke. I'm like, going, I'm like, dude, John, like, really? He goes, let's see if it needs any common sense. And I go, he goes, how bad do you want it? And he's looking back and he's on the pier and he's like, keep going. So pretty soon he disappears and he's bobbing up. And he's sitting out there just going, bobbing, going, bobbing. Pretty soon he comes back in and he goes, dude, what the heck? You gonna make me drown? He goes, I never told you couldn't swim. He said, at the end of the day, you have to need this so bad that you are willing to put everything on the line.
Mm.
You really need it. He goes, you need this like you need oxygen, like you need water, like you need food, like you need shelter, like you need love and connection. And he goes, dude, he goes, you didn't ruin anything. He goes, you got the lesson of a lifetime. Had someone given you this lesson, he goes, I probably would have been the dean of a university. He goes, but I settled to be a professor. And now I share my story with everyone else because I wish I would have gotten this lesson when I was your age. And it was priceless. And what's interesting is about 3 weeks later, I'm talking to John. The kid didn't get the job. But after that, he got the job that he wished he would have gotten because the way he showed up, which was tenacious and without apology and like eager to learn and open. And it's like that drive, that fire. And this goes back to what you were speaking of at the very beginning of this video. And that is, how did someone know that you were going to be successful? How did they know that you're going to be this force of nature? Anyone who's ever met you that's gotten to know you goes, heck yeah, that's who this woman is. No, and I mean that in the most complimentary way, because there is a fire and drive within you that is inspiring and it has gravity to it. Why? Because even when you had doubt in self, others could feel that there was still this underlying belief. Because the mind will play tricks on us.
100%.
It will screw around with you till you are black and blue. And on the other side of it, it's like going, then what keeps you going?
Right.
That's faith, that's belief, that's hunger, that's that drive. And it's like, okay, but what's the difference between taking mammoth action because we want something so bad or taking mammoth action because we need it?
There's definitely a difference because I think the hunger is different.
There is.
I think that the appetite of the need, just like if you're hungry. Like, you need food and water to survive. And so the hunger, how do we know we're hungry? We have hunger pains, we get lightheaded, we lose our energy, and that's signs that, hey, we need nutrition in our body, and that hunger is there. But when I'm not hungry and I kind of just want a scoop of ice cream because I love ice cream, I don't really do anything to really go get it because it's just a want. Like, I want it, but
Right.
I'm kind of lazy and I'm kind of tired. And I already got my pajamas on and I'm kind of already comfortable. And I mean, I still want the ice cream. I'm just not motivated enough to go get it. But if I was hungry
Yep.
and I needed food and I had low energy and I was lightheaded, I'm getting up. I'm going to that fridge. I'm going to go find me something nutrition to put in my body. I'm going to get some water. Right? So I think like that is different. Like, that's the difference.
Well, it's like your fishing analogy. If I need that fish, I'm keeping that line taut. There is no slack in that sucker. And I am myopic. Where that fish goes, my energy is going. I am feeling the line. I'm watching. I'm listening. They're moving the boat in the right way as well. Why? Because it's a team effort. It's not just one person. It's not just you, the rod and the reel. It's like, oh, big game hunter, fish. It's like, no, it's like, oh, that's dinner. That may be dinner for a week for a family. And I go, okay, because now there are no distractions and you will find yourself in flow and your energy is there. Doesn't make a difference if you're sweating profusely, if you've been on that reel for hours, you will stay there and stay committed till you land the fish.
You get the fish. Yep. And there's no obstacles that take your desire and wants and needs away from that one fish. And that's how you keep the tension. See, I always thought tension was bad. I always like, we've heard the metaphor, oh my gosh, there's so much tension in the room, you can cut it with a knife. That's stress. That's not tension, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's stress. That's not tension.
We
Tension is
commitment.
Tension is the emotion of, that's mine. I
Yes.
got this. I know my end result. I know the end result of my life is going to be X, Y, and Z. And my hunger, my appetite, it's a need. My end result has become my need now, where it doesn't matter if I'm tired and I'm lazy. I'm going after it. I'm staying on it. I'm going to get it because it's the end all to be all to what I need in my life and want in my life. That's supposed to happen in my trajectory of my life. And so, for our listeners, it's really important that everything that Chuck and I are saying, if you notice, there's action, there's emotion, there's motion and emotion in what we're saying when you have a vision versus having a dream. And it was so funny because when Joseph was talking about this, he's like, those of you that like to dream, just keep sleeping. You'll get plenty of them.
Exactly.
Enjoy them. Have fun with them. No one's saying you can't.
And there's a difference. You're unconscious.
Right.
A vision is consciousness.
Yes.
That comes from inside of you. A dream, you're unconscious. You are literally filtering and letting go. And so I go, kind of like the exhaust of a car. If you put fuel in the engine, that eventually becomes exhaust, but it comes out the other end. Yeah. No different than a burrito. Sorry. Yes, we went there. And so here's the difference, though. One is fuel.
Yeah.
One is exhaust, what you're getting rid of. So it's spent fuel. And I go, ooh, okay. Did you get someplace? Did you make progress? Did you move forward? Did you have an adventure, an experience? Oh, wow. Okay. Now this is coming full circle. Because again, when we are in hopium, we are literally living in comfort and unconsciousness in many instances. If people go, but Chuck, you and Veenu spoke a couple weeks ago about unconscious competence. And I was like, there's a difference. The beating of your heart has a purpose. Your breath has a purpose to keep you alive and to thrive. And when you turn the heat up, you start exercising or running more. I said, your body responds in kind, unconsciously, because there is actually something that we have not talked about, which is intellectual intelligence, IQ. But it's not just here, it's here.
Throughout our whole body. It resonates within us.
And it channels with your EQ.
Mm-hmm.
You can have an emotional response and your heart rate will go up. You will start breathing more heavily. You'll have a deeper exchange in your lungs. You're like, oh yeah, man, I'm breathing like really, yes. And how do you slow down? Breathe deeper,
Mm.
center yourself. And here's what's interesting about that. When you center, your energy goes up. When you're under load or pressure, your energy drops. When you're in fight or flight, your energy is being reserved for one thing: flight. Get me the heck out of here. Or fight. Protect me. I've got to step up. And I'll tell you what happens though. Your field of vision goes from here to right here. Like you're looking through a keyhole and going, this is the exit. This is how I get out. This is my opponent. This is who I need to, dispatch with prejudice at this moment, because that's survival at the highest level.
Absolutely.
But there's no sustainability around that. It's a poor fuel of choice. It only sustains you for a short period of time. And then
And
you're exhausted.
just by going what you say and like really looking at people that say, I don't like to vision anymore because I've never gotten what I wanted.
Mm,
For those people that have had big visions or dreams, and you are sitting here listening to us and you're like, well, that's great for you guys. That's great for Tony Robbins, but I'm not you guys. Here's what I have to say is what actions did you take before you gave up on that
right.
dream or vision of yours? And if you gave up on it and you didn't take any action, then you're right. It was just a dream that didn't come to fruition. And if you took action and you continue to take action and that vision didn't come through, maybe you just need to change your approach and take a different action.
Mm.
Because I can't tell you how many course changes I've made in my life. Okay, a lot. Like every day I feel like I'm on course correction. And that's okay because I know what I want in my life.
Right.
And if I have to make a course correction to get what I want in my life, I'm open to receiving the information I need to say, okay, it's time to change course. Like this isn't working for you. It's okay to say no, thank you, and move on. And it's okay to take no's. And there's things that you have to get used to. You
Sure.
have to like get rid of the word rejection. If you feel rejected because someone said no to you, that's not rejection. It's just they were saving you from impinging upon your energy field. You didn't need their energy.
Right.
You didn't. And they actually saved you. You can't see it right now, but I promise you, when you get that vision that you wanted, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, thank God that was a no. Thank God that was a no.
And
And
Veeno,
it's those things that really just kind of shut us off.
well, they do. And there's always going to be obstacles, but let's think about people who actually have like changed the world. Think
Ugh,
about like a Mother Teresa or a Gandhi or a Nelson Mandela. That's
Martin
all
Luther
gone.
King.
Let's use someone even more current, someone who's alive now, and you're like going, okay, but are they perfect? I said that's the human condition.
Mm.
It's not whether or not you're going to screw up. It's just when. And if you know that and you understand that, then you can also appreciate and start to understand that the lessons and the learnings and the distinctions, and that even if it's an awkward moment, that you are not the sum of all your behavior. You have an opportunity as well. And that is, have you learned from what, as a friend of ours says, you kind of grow through what you go through. And I
Mhm.
go, that's beautiful and brilliant, but are you really growing? And this is where that individual identity, the opportunity, and the understanding that we can live in appreciation and possibility. But yes, and it's a decision. Where are you putting your time and energy?
Absolutely. And there's a group of people that I'm a part of, the fire team, and like we have this saying, dare to suck.
Yep.
That is my favorite saying, dare to suck. Because I too was stuck on perfectionism. I'm a number one on the Enneagram, for God's sake. Like there is a right and wrong way in my life. There definitely is. And what I had to learn about though is that just because I believe there's a right and wrong doesn't mean there's perfect. You
Yes.
know, what I realized is that every opportunity I get to suck at something, I have another opportunity to learn to be better at something. And the only person that put the rules are me.
Yep.
I'm the only person that puts those rules around it. So that whole dare to suck has really shifted my life. And if anybody out there that's listening to this want to borrow that, that is great because it is amazing when you really live by daring to suck. You know, every day I dare to suck, you
And
know,
and take responsibility. Like,
absolutely.
be
Oh,
accountable for your suckiness. Like, I've got a PhD in screw ups. I mean, like, legit. And if you don't believe me, ask my wife. She'll tell you. And it's one of the things that she loves about me.
mhm.
Why? Because she knows I'm gonna screw up.
And but you take ownership too. It's like, yep, I did that. Was it the right choice to make? No. Did I hurt some people? Yes. Was that my intention? No. And I'm just going to own it and I'm going to do better.
And this is huge. And so if there's one thing that you walk away with tonight, don't retaliate. And this is what we talk about, owning your suckiness. Okay. This is huge. You're gonna make mistakes and own it. Don't point at someone else and go, oh yeah, but you did this and you do that. And it's like, uh-huh. So if you think you're going to elevate yourself or you're more enlightened in your suckiness than someone else by pointing out something that they've had a lesson in, then you haven't gotten a lesson.
Right. Right.
Slow down and be appreciative of the lesson and the opportunity.
And life is not tit for tat.
Nope.
And the only thing that steals the joy of our life is comparison.
Yeah.
And I teach this to my kids. I teach this to my clients. I teach this to myself every day.
Yes.
You know, the only person I need to compare myself to is the person who got up this morning.
You and I have had this profound conversation over and over and over again. We're going to remind everyone it's about the harmony. It's not about the balance. Tit
Mm-mm.
for tat, yin and yang. I said yin and yang in and of itself is a very misconstrued concept because when you look at it, it's actually in motion and it's not equal. It's actually larger on one side and a tail on the other, and it's in evolution, it's in motion. Why? Because anything that's growing and evolving in life is. You cannot measure what's not moving. You
Yep.
can't. And so now all of a sudden it's like, oh, growth, opportunity, possibilities. Progress equals happiness. It's like, wait, all these manifestations, all these like little quips and soothsayings that people say, and yet it comes back to the simple thing that Venus started with. Honor your dreams, craft your vision.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And that is so true, you know, and we hope that you guys are finding value of this conversation because if you want something different, you got to do something different. If today wakes you up because you've really are taking, you know, uh going through and reflecting off of what we're saying and you're asking yourself, you know, do first of all, do you really need it? Like Chuck said, you know, do you need this? Is this vision what you really need in your life? Because you will know because that why is so strong, but the hunger is even stronger than the why. That you keep
Absolutely.
going at it. You don't stop until you get it. What actions are you taking for it? Because again, if you're not taking actions, it's just a glorified dream.
And to your point, Venu, Simon Sinek says this, and I mean, he even wrote a book about it. He goes, your why is who you are.
Start with the why.
You're literally stating to the world, this is who I am, this is what I need. The responsibility part and the accountability part is, are you honoring it? Are you actually living in it? And we've talked about this, my family motto, you can be doing your best, never being your best. When you choose, when you commit to being your best in the moment with the resources that you have, you will do your best to your ability at that moment. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm so glad you brought this together, Vinu. I mean, it really amazing, my sister. So appreciate you on so many levels.
I just think where the world is going today, we
Yeah.
have so much uncertainty about the economy, about jobs, about living, about the prices going up. You know, we can't let that steal our dreams. We can't let that take away our visions and the actions that we need to take to keep going forward. You know, we're not done yet.
No,
We're not done yet. we're just starting a new era, and we're going to do this together because we're in it together.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys again for joining us. The shows can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out www.spanglishworld.ca for all your news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it.